Hey guys, this is Scott from Forgot to Grow Up Podcast. Welcome to another edition of Rewatch, Revisit, Review, our weekly video series where I rewatch a movie I haven't seen in a while, talk about my thoughts after revisiting it, then give you guys my review for that movie. So this week I'm going to be talking about The Rundown, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, in honor of his new movie Skyscraper that just hit theaters. I rewatched my favorite The Rock movie, and that's The Rundown, which is what I'm going to be talking about in this video today. So those who are new to this video series, I'm just going to start off by giving you guys the quick plot summary for this movie, so I have some idea of what I'm talking about. Then give you guys my thoughts after I had revisited it, and then give you guys my review for it. All right, so let's just get started with the rewatch section. Alright guys, so as I do for every rewatch for revisit review, I'm going to give you guys the IMDb plot summary for this movie just so you have some idea of what happened in The Rundown in case you haven't seen it or in case you haven't watched it in a while. Alright, so the IMDb plot summary for The Rundown is a tough aspiring chef is hired to bring home a mobster's son from the Amazon, but becomes involved in the fight against an oppressive town operator in the search for a legendary treasure. Well, that's a little bit of a vague description of this movie. This movie is about The Rock. He's kind of indebted to this mobster, and this is his one last job. He has to go retrieve the mobster's son. And I really love this movie because it was the first time I was introduced to The Rock. I was never a wrestling guy. This is the first time I was introduced to The Rock in a movie. I think it was maybe even his first movie, first feature film, I should say. But I really enjoyed this. I freaking love this movie. And even revisiting it, I still love it to this day. So the reason I already mentioned that I decided to rewatch it was because of the Skyscraper movie is in theaters now, and so this is my favorite Rock movie, so that seemed like a good reason to rewatch it, and it's been too long since I've seen this. But let's just move on to the revisit section so I can give you guys some more of my thoughts. Alright guys, so my thoughts after revisiting The Rundown are it's still my favorite Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie. I still call him The Rock even though he hasn't been The Rock for a while. He's still The Rock to me. The Rock at the beginning of this was The Rock at the beginning of his acting career, I should say. And you can see why he became such a huge movie star too, and he's still such a big movie star to this day. Because his physical action in this movie is just great. You can see that he brought the physicality of his wrestling career into this first action movie that he did, and I really like that his character hates guns, which is really always a fun kind of characteristic for any action hero, but not needing them because he's so big, and in this movie they have it that his fighting styles, so like his fighting abilities are so much better than everybody else and the average person. He doesn't even need a gun for the most part, and so I seriously just love every part of this performance from The Rock in this movie overall. Plus, this movie has a great cast with Seann William Scott, who's funny, Rosario Dawson, who's just a badass, and then Christopher Walken as the bad guy, which is just this is my favorite role of him as a bad guy, except for when he was a bad guy in that one Batman Returns. Yeah, he's only kind of a bad guy in that, but he's still a bad guy. I count it. It's a Batman movie. Anyways, there's also a surprise Arnold Schwarzenegger cameo in this, which I always forget. Arnold, he's right at the beginning. I always feel like this was a little bit of him kind of passing the torch, because I think this is around the same time that Arnold was running for governor of California, so he stopped making movies around this time too, so it's kind of a cool little nod maybe. I should have looked that up a little bit more if that timing lined up exactly right. This movie was 2002, 2003, so maybe it lines up just right. I don't know. I still like that cameo. Anytime I see Arnold, I'm a big fan of it. You put two big muscle guys on a screen together, I'm gonna like it. That came off in a different way than I wanted it, but whatever, I don't mind it. But I really like the chemistry between the cast, especially the two main characters, but the whole cast overall just does a great job and helps fill in the gaps in between all the action beats. Overall, this was another great choice for a rewatch, revisit, review on my part, if I do say so myself, because this movie still remains pretty great fun and entertainment, action-packed adventure through the jungle with a lost artifact and an evil villain. They have to save a town. It's a whole thing. It's just like everything you want in like a good action film for the most part. It doesn't have any superheroes, but The Rock's pretty much a superhero. He does fly at one point. He did a Vin Diesel before Vin Diesel was doing Vin Diesel. Maybe, kind of, sort of, if you guys get that reference. Yeah, I should put those clips in here, but I'm not going to because finding clips is hard. Anyways, I still love this movie. Let's move on to the review section, guys, so we can see what the audience and critics has thought before I give you the rest of my review for it. All right, guys. So as I start every review for every rewatch, revisit, review, I'm going to give you guys the audience and critics ratings, so you guys know what everyone else thought before I tell you what I thought. Even though I already told you some of my thoughts. Anyways, the audience and critics ratings for The Rundown go. IMDb gave it a 6.7 out of 10, which is okay. Rotten Tomatoes score, the critics gave it a 70% on the tomato meter with a 6.4 out of 10 average score, and then audiences gave it a 66 on the tomato meter with a 6.6 out of 10 average score, and then Metacritic gave it a 59. So as you guys can see, people didn't love this movie as much as I did, but nobody really hated it. I think this is a very forgotten about rock flick, especially since it's not 100% starring him. It is in my mind, but I guess Sean William Scott does make up. They're kind of co-stars, but this is a rock film in my mind. But I could kind of see why it might be slightly rated lower than I would give it based off of just some critics' things. Again, I'm biased for these kind of movies. This was the new Arnold for me, really. It's just like a classic kind of almost like a classic 90s action film, but with a slightly sounder premise, and it was still awesome. I like it. I love this movie, which goes into my rating, guys, which is 2 thumbs up. Of course, I give this movie 2 thumbs up. It's my favorite The Rock movie. I tend to do this for a lot of my rewatch revisit reviews, but why would I want to rewatch a movie I didn't like? That makes no sense to me. But yeah, of course, I still like this movie almost 15 years almost later. It's still fun and entertainment, and I love an adventure through the jungle, especially with The Rock. Even though I haven't seen Jumanji yet, that's next on my just to watch list, not rewatch. That has nothing to do with this movie. Anyways, my favorite part of this movie is anytime The Rock is kicking ass. There's so many different awesome action scenes, from the opening bar fight against the football players to the final battle where he finally picks up a couple guns, and you see why he didn't have to pick up guns the whole time, why he didn't want to, but you just kind of get that payoff, and it's pretty awesome. This movie did a great job of mixing up the action and fight scenes to keep the action rolling. It wasn't always just like a straightforward fist fight. Sometimes they had the different fights where they brought in the whips and him having to get around the guns, and then at one fight he's fighting the rebel guys, and they're is it capoeira? Is that the dancing martial arts? But they have a different style, and there's multiple of them. It's a whole thing. It was really interesting to see those different ones, and I like that they mixed it up throughout this film. And that's one of the reasons I really like it. It keeps you on the edge of your seat while you're watching it. And yeah, that's what I liked about it. Those are my favorite parts, which brings me on to the last part of the review, which is my recommendation, which obviously, guys, yes, I recommend this. If you like The Rock, or if you like good action films in general, then this movie is for you. With The Rock's natural charm and Sean William Scott's kind of wacky, funny antics, this movie's a great kind of like 90 minutes of action and fun and laughs. So next Friday or Saturday night, and you stay in because it's raining, or you just don't want to go out, this is a good action movie to throw in and catch. If you haven't seen it in a while, or if you've never seen it at all, check out The Rundown. But that brings me to the end of the rewatch, revisit, review for The Rundown. Let me know, guys, in the comments below what you guys think of this. What is your favorite The Rock movie? Have you seen this one? What is it? Let me know. My thoughts are all over the place. Anyways, thanks for watching today, guys. I hope you have a good one.